The Archivist's Records. Entry 6. Distortion Fields. Greetings, Nixari. In my previous record I spoke of scarlands, places where the world bears the memory of something that happened long ago. Places altered by events whose causes are often forgotten. Today we shall discuss something different, something far less comfortable. For scarlands are reminders of the past. Distortion fields are reminders that the past may not be finished. Across Atheris, there exist regions that resist explanation, places where measurements disagree, observations conflict, and reality itself appears reluctant to behave as expected. These locations are known collectively as distortion fields. Unlike a rift, a distortion field is not an opening. Unlike a scarland, it is not merely a consequence, it is something else, something ongoing, something active. A phenomenon that has not fully concluded. The term itself originated among Ithari researchers, not because they understood what these places were, but because they required a name. One cannot effectively discuss a mystery without first giving it a label. Whether that label proves accurate is another matter entirely. The earliest recorded encounters describe confusion, travelers reporting impossible distances, explorers returning with contradictory maps, witnesses describing events that could not be reproduced. At first, such reports were dismissed. Poor navigation, faulty memory, exaggeration, the usual explanations. Then the reports continued, and continued, and continued. Eventually, the number of accounts became difficult to ignore. A pattern emerged. Something unusual was occurring, not everywhere, but often enough to attract attention. One of the most common characteristics of a distortion field is inconsistency. A mountain appears nearby, yet requires hours to reach. A path seems straightforward, yet repeatedly returns travelers to their starting point. Two individuals standing side by side may describe entirely different experiences. Neither account can be proven false. Neither account can be fully trusted. Such contradictions make study extraordinarily difficult. The problem becomes even more apparent when measurements are attempted. Survey teams have recorded distances that change between expeditions, landmarks that appear displaced, geographical features that refuse to remain entirely consistent. These changes are rarely dramatic, rarely obvious. But they occur often enough to frustrate even the most patient researchers. Spatial irregularities are not the only anomalies reported. Sound behaves strangely within some distortion fields. Echoes linger longer than expected. Voices appear to originate from incorrect directions. Footsteps may be heard where no traveler exists. Many explanations have been proposed. None have achieved universal acceptance. Light itself can also behave unpredictably. Shadows occasionally appear inconsistent with surrounding illumination. Colors may seem altered. Reflections may display subtle discrepancies. Some researchers insist these observations are psychological. Others disagree. The debate continues, as it often does. Animal behavior provides another source of fascination. Certain species refuse to enter distortion fields entirely. Others gather within them in unusual numbers. Migration patterns have been observed changing near long-standing fields. No explanation adequately accounts for every case, and so another mystery joins the growing collection. Perhaps the most frustrating aspect of distortion fields is their refusal to remain consistent. A storm rift may exhibit recognizable patterns. A scarland may preserve observable evidence. Distortion fields rarely offer such conveniences. What occurs today may not occur tomorrow. What is observed by one researcher may not be observed by another. Repeated studies often produce different results. For a civilization dedicated to understanding, this presents a unique challenge. The Ithari do not fear distortion fields, at least not officially. They find them infuriating. A ruler may be frustrated by rebellion, a merchant by poor trade. An Ithari scholar is frustrated by unreliable data. And distortion fields produce an abundance of unreliable data. Entire research teams have devoted decades to studying individual fields. Some have produced remarkable findings. Others have concluded only that they require more information. The latter outcome is considerably more common. Among ordinary people, however, opinions tend to be less academic. Most simply avoid them. Not because they are always dangerous, many are not, but because uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. A steep cliff may be dangerous, a violent storm may be dangerous, yet both can be understood. Both follow rules. Distortion fields often appear unwilling to do so, and people have always been wary of things that refuse to follow rules. This caution is not entirely unreasonable. Though most distortion fields are not immediately lethal, accidents do occur. Travelers become lost. Expeditions become delayed. Unexpected hazards emerge, rarely catastrophic, often inconvenient, always difficult to predict. The distinction between a scarland and a distortion field is an important one. A scarland represents a completed event. Something happened. The world changed. The evidence remained. A distortion field suggests something different. Not a memory, not a consequence. An ongoing process. A phenomenon that continues despite the passage of time. Perhaps that is why they attract such attention. Every distortion field poses the same question. Why is it still happening? No record provides a definitive answer. No theory has ended the debate. No researcher has solved the mystery. And so the study continues. Year after year, generation after generation, the watchers observe, the explorers investigate, the curious speculate, and the distortion fields persist. Quietly, patiently, refusing to behave, refusing to explain themselves, refusing, perhaps, to end. For now, only one conclusion appears certain. Scarlands are the memory of an event. Distortion fields are the event refusing to end.